Hi, I'm Lindsay from Sweet and Sour Firsties. If you're new here, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for tons of weekly back-to-school tips and tricks to make it your best school year ever. This week is all about 5 must-haves for the first week of school. We're going to discuss 5 must-haves to make it a successful first week of school. We know how overwhelming the first week of school can be between getting to know students, building relationships, fostering team building skills, and of course, setting expectations and laying the foundation for the rest of the year. No pressure, right? Don't worry, by the time we're done with this video, you're gonna walk away with tons of tips and tricks to make it the best first week ever and to learn how to make it easier year after year moving forward from now on. We're gonna start off with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is a huge one that you're gonna wanna make sure you take notes of. Over plan. That means if you think you have enough plans, you probably don't. Downtime is your enemy, especially during that first week of school, because you are spending the time, again, getting to know those students, building in those expectations, and again, laying that foundation for the rest of the year. And downtime is the enemy. And as it turns out, during those first weeks of school, if you've overplanned, then you can carry things over week after week so that basically your first month of school is ready to go and you have tons of ideas in your back pocket ready for you at any time you need it. So, what does that over planning look like? And what are all the activities that you do? You're gonna hear me say this a lot, but during the first weeks of school, I spend almost all of our time getting to know students, team building, setting expectations, so that the rest of the year goes really smoothly and there's no issues. Because if you spend that time up front, you're gonna have less behavior problems down the road because you've spent that time doing it up front. Specifically for the first week, we spend most all of every single day, again, doing those same sorts of things. So let's talk specifically about the first day of school. A lot of the activities that I tend to plan for also have a paired mentor text with it. So if we think specifically about the first day, we might read First Day Jitters together. You can do a ton of activities with that one read aloud, and they can be thrown in and mixed in throughout the day. You don't have to do it all at one time. So what we might do is we might start off by reading that book. Then we're gonna chart our feelings together. We're going to talk about whether we're feeling scared, excited, happy. There's lots of different feelings that we have during that first week. Then you can build a graph together. As you're building that graph together, you can talk about what are we noticing? Which category has the most? Which category has the least? Why do you think you're feeling this way versus another? So it's not just some surface level fluff activity. It's, again, incorporating all of those things, that community building, getting to know students individually, even throwing in some math skills. These are all ways to incorporate all these different skills with this one activity. Later on, we can incorporate some writing with it. Let's write about how we feel and think about those young babies coming in the first day of school. We're not going to want to do too much with them, but we can have them trace a feeling. We can have them draw a picture of themselves and how they're feeling. Again, differentiating for those children so they're having fun, they're getting to know you, and we're not asking too much, especially during that first day of school. Then flash all the way to the end of the day. You can bring back that book again and have jitter juice at the end of the day and send them on their way with jitter juice. So that's 3 easy activities all built into the first day of school and incorporating tons of different skills with that one activity. That's just one example, but that's how I tend to plan during that first week especially, and really those first 2 weeks of school. What read alouds can we do? What skills can we cover? What activities can we do along with it? I like to build in crafts. I like to build in time where we sit down and build anchor charts together that we can leave up. All of these different things are incorporated, and again, laying that foundation for the whole year. What's the takeaway here? Over plan. Plan until you can't plan anymore, and you have a whole bunch of activities in your back pocket for when you need it during those first weeks of school. Number 2, the second thing you need to make sure you incorporate into the first week of school is, you've already heard me talk about it a little bit, but community building activities. I'm going to quickly start by saying that you want to make sure that, again, with those young learners, even our older learners who have been doing whatever they want all summer, you want to make sure you build in movement activities. Make sure they are getting up, moving around. A scavenger hunt is a really easy way to do that. They can get to know their classroom. They can walk around the room. Again, a perfect time to set expectations for how we move around our classroom, how we're safe, thinking about how we can incorporate procedures into activities that the students are then doing. Now, let's talk about some specific community building activities that we do in the classroom. I have a few favorites that we always do every year. Cup stacking. I love cup stacking because it really requires students to work together. We start by reading Teamwork Isn't My Thing and I Don't Like to Share. That's a great story that students love, and it shows them what not to do and how not to be a team player. So we start with that one, and then we get into how we're gonna be a team player. And for that activity, they work in groups together. They get a rubber band and only a paper clip. And there's a paper clip on the rubber band for each number of students in that group. So they can only touch their paper clip to stack the cups. It's a real challenge for them. And it's a great way to start building that community and those team building skills. And by the end of it, they love it. Another easy favorite is Four Corners. I love Four Corners because, again, it gets students moving around the room. There's a variety of topics. How are you feeling? Happy, nervous, sad, tired. They can move to whichever corner of the room and discuss how they feel and why they feel that way. So again, we're building those connections. Oh, you feel tired too? Why do you feel tired? Well, I didn't get very good sleep last night because I was nervous. Me too. So look, you're building those connections and helping them foster those relationships with each other. Another easy one is the All About Me bag. These are bags, you can see a picture here, that I send home with students during Meet the Teacher. They get to put in 3 to 5 things that represent them. What's great about these bags is you can do them throughout the first week. You can have each student present their own bag, and then students can ask questions. And it's a great way to, again, get to know students. They can get to know each other. They can start building connections. You can have that in your back pocket. Oh, I see he likes Pokemon. I'm gonna remember that. And again, it's a great time filler for when you do have that downtime and you finish an activity early. You can throw in those, let's have 3 people share about their bags. And you can actually grab the All About Me freebie with the link below in the description. One more community building activity that I want to talk about is Find a Friend Bingo. I want you to notice every activity I've discussed so far builds in and incorporates some kind of movement for students. I think it's really important to balance out. You spend a lot of time sitting and talking and discussing how we sit on the carpet, how we use pencils. Make sure you get them up and moving too, so that you can continue to have their focus throughout that day and especially that first week of school. So Find a Friend Bingo is another one of those. They get up, move around, they get to know each other. It's perfect. They have questions like, who went to the library over summer break? Who went to the pool? Who went to the park? Who read a book? They're very simple, easy things, but again, they get to see, oh, hey, this person likes to read too. And again, look at what we're doing here. We're fostering connections between them, we're getting to know them, and they're getting movement built in, which is so important. You can learn about all these team building activities with the link below too. I go into 15 different ones that we love to use during the first weeks of school. Number 3, now we're gonna talk about the power of procedures. So you've heard me talk about community building, team building. Let's talk about setting that foundation with students. It is so important. One of the most important goals, of course, we want them to feel loved, safe, happy, excited to be in school during that first week. But we also want to make sure they know how to follow the rules and expectations, again, because you're laying that foundation for the whole year. This is so important. When you're not having fun and doing crafts and team building activities, you should be laying the foundation for how your classroom will be run for the year. Take a look at this chart. I just shared this chart on Instagram this week. This specific chart is a little overwhelming. This one is designed for teachers to kind of see the procedures that I go through and talk about during the first week of school. But I love creating an anchor chart with students to check off and say, okay, here's what we're gonna cover this week. How do we get water? How do we go to the bathroom? How do we use our pencils? How do we use school supplies? How do we come in the morning? How do we sit on the carpet? There are so many procedures during that first week of of school to cover, which is really overwhelming, and hence why I said build in that movement time, but spend the time. Make sure you chart it all for students. Tell them what you're going to cover and make sure that they know it and why it's important. Why do we need to practice this? Why are we going to get this right? And be sure to tune in the next couple weeks for another video going into specific detail how I teach each of those procedures so that your classroom almost runs itself. The next thing I want to talk about are the goals for the first week of school. By the time students are leaving the classroom that last day of school during the first week, what is it that we should have accomplished with them? You've heard me kind of mention a couple of things so far, but let's really talk about what should we focus on and what's most important during that first week of school. A really important goal for you that I really try to get done by the first or second day of school, but man, sometimes it can be really hard depending on the number of students, but learning everyone's names. I think it's so important that everyone feels connected to you because you already know their name. And like I said, I know that's difficult, especially when you have a lot of students, but think about little tips and tricks to help you remember everybody's name so that especially during the last day of your first week together, you have everybody's names down. The next is to begin to build that strong community and that team that you want to have for the rest of the year. Those relationships that you foster, that team community that you create is going to get you through all the tough times that you're going to experience during the year. One of my favorite quotes is, "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." Super powerful quote, especially with those kiddos. So begin to build and foster that community that you want to have for the rest of the year. Get to know each other. Things like the All About Me bags, how we feel during the first week of school, simple writing activities, name games. These are all ways we can start to build connections and get to know students and who they are individually. Would You Rather is another favorite of ours. Super easy to throw in anytime you have extra time. You can have students sit or stand to build in movement, and you can get to know, hey, you'd rather go on the swings than the slide? Me too. And then as you've heard me say, building that strong foundation for the rest of the year. It is so important to spend that whole first week and the whole first month letting them know the procedures, practicing modeling all week, all month long, so that you guys can hit the ground running and they know exactly what to do. And then, of course, making sure you have fun. Have fun, get to know everybody, build connections, enjoy it, be present with them. We know every year they say it's like childbirth because you forget how horrible it is so that you'll do it again the next year. And as overwhelming as the first week is, take time to enjoy it and have fun with your students. You're starting a brand new year. You only get the first week of school once every school year. And the last thing I want to discuss is how you can now have everything done for you. With the first week of school kit, I have done all the hard work for you. I have 25 plus activities, detailed lesson plans, step-by-step guides of exactly what to do, paired mentor texts. This is a decade of activities all done for you so that you can spend that first week enjoying it with your students and not worry about stressing and planning. You have it all right here. Let's dive into this kit and see exactly what's in here and how I organize it too. So not only do you have detailed plans and activities for 5 full days of school, and remember what I said, I overplan. These plans are completely overplanned, so you have plenty of activities to get you through the complete first month of school. But you can see it's all broken down for you. You can add your own times throughout the day. And you have so many activities, 25 plus activities included for you so that you can spend that time team building, community building, relationship building, setting expectations, everything I've talked about here, it's all here done for you. Not only do you have the snippet lesson plans that you can edit and move around, but then you have the detailed plans as well that tells you literally step by step everything to do for the complete first week of school. These are also great because they have daily prep checklists for every single day of the week. It tells you exactly what to pull in prep, what to make copies of, so that all you have to do is pull it out, make a copy, and you're done. You have it already planned out for the whole week. I also have those paired mentor texts I told you about. Every day has mentor text to go with all the activities for that specific day. Also detailed lesson plans that tell you exactly what to do, what time, what you're gonna focus on, what procedures to do, everything you need for the complete first week of school so that you have literally the best year ever. And what's best is once you prep this, you have it for years to come. Now let's dive into our bucket and see what is in here too. I love using this bucket because it's big enough to fit not only the activity copies, but the books, the lesson plans can fit in here, the copies that you need, literally everything here. All you have to do is go to day one, pull out what you need. I'll tell you a trick that I do. Original copy, I just put a little OG in highlighter, and that way I know not to copy the original because I can just pull it out every year and make copies as I need. And then you can't see the highlighter too. As you can see, some of how I prep the activities is I like to put them in Ziploc bags and keep them that way. I also organize the activities by time that they're gonna pop up during that day that we have. So the crowns, for example, I love having the crowns on their desk that they can decorate and wear during the first day of school. It's a great activity to kind of calm things down if you need to, because coloring is really relaxing. You can also put on some calming music, and then it's a great keepsake for them to take home at the end of the day. Here's that scavenger hunt I mentioned, and look, you can see the little OG right up at the top up there, so I don't copy this, but then all I have to do from year to year is just make my copies that I need for my students and then stick it back in the bucket for the following year. So this scavenger hunt is really fun, and it's a great way for students to get to know the classroom, build in movement, and then again, talk about how we safely move around our classroom together. Here's some of that first week things I talked to you about, the first week feelings. And you can see I have a sticky note on top of each activity for what the activity is so that it's stored and put together for every single year. So this is our graph that we do. See, we also do a kissing hand craft, which is super cute and fun. And then we do a first day feelings craft too. And what's nice is if you forget or you don't have time during the first day, there's also a first week one. So you could do first week feelings instead. Definitely have had to do that before. And then what's also nice is in this huge bucket, not only can we fit all the activities for the day, we can fit all the books for each day too. So it's literally all right there for you every year. These are some of our first day books that we read together and have, again, activities for every single one of them, and an overabundance of activities too, so that if we have downtime, there's some easy things we can throw in so that we don't have any downtime. So that's it, the first week kit. I've done it all for you. Lesson plans, community building, team building, relationship building, setting expectations, all done for you. So you have for literally the whole first month of school, 25 plus activities and still growing. I have more to add. This is my one must-have tool for back to school. It is the only thing I need and it's all done for you. You can grab yours now in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed learning about 5 must-haves for the first week of school. Make sure to join us next week as we dive more into team building, relationship building, setting expectations during that first month of school. It's a huge, crucial period. It can be very overwhelming, but it's also very important. And I'm gonna share tons of tips and tricks to get you covered for not only that first month of school, but to have a whole successful year and of course, your best year ever. Again, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next week.